Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Jesus Wants You. I am Nikki Pratt. Jesus wants you. I know I'm crazy sometimes. Welcome to my channel. All new subscribers, current subscribers, welcome back. Hi Andrew. First person that ran across my mind. Shout out. Anywho, for those of you who do not know, my channel is about mainly Jesus Christ, but it's about world news versus Bible prophecy. A lot of times when I'm led by the Holy Spirit, I could veer off and go on to what I'm in now. Domestic violence part 3. It is a little late. I have been busy. On Jesus clock. I call it, I tell people all the time, I'm clocking in on Jesus clock. It has been a eventful day. I'm in World Vision Day Extension. I don't know if some of you are. I know Nikki Grant is, and Miss Barbara Davis. They're in World Vision Day Extension 3. So, you know, I did my World Vision Day day here at home because it was pouring rain, and I had just recently had surgery, so I couldn't go out. But I got on the phone a couple of days after surgery. Yes, I did. But I went out today. I won't get into it and tell you about it, but it is a trip. Yeah. Let me tell you how much of a trip. Let me just give you a hint. The mandate is you go out to the highways and the byways preaching the gospel. You know, evangelizing, ministering, praying, whatever you got to do. We went to a crack house. Yeah, have to tell you all about it. But not right now, because this is important. This is a different video. This is domestic violence, part 3, the miracle. Okay, so here we go. Many of you watching probably have watched the domestic violence part 1 and 2. Been waiting for 3. Let me sum it up part 2 for you. For those of you who are just not watching, I really encourage you to go back and watch part 1 and 2 because in this you'll be lost. But I'm going to kind of sum it up for you so you can be a little bit caught up. Alright? You would know where we are and where I left off. My oldest child was being abused, called names every time I would try to defend her. The domestic violence against me would increase. I was in fear, I was in bondage, and I didn't protect her like I should have, most importantly. Now, since the last video, I stated that I felt these videos would be aimed toward women. Little did I know. I then found no more than women, the men that did the abusing. I've had some abusers, some people that was being abused. And before I go into more of that, I have to tell you, one of my viewers watched my videos, commented, and realized that she was that little girl, which was my little girl. She related to that little girl. Watching that video, it put her back to that abused little girl that she also used to experience. Meaning she identified with my daughter. And it took her back to when she was a little girl and when she was abused. It made her angry. It made her, in her words, hate me. Her very own words, hate me at that moment. We talked on the phone. I heard for the first time her deepest hurts and pains. I was sad, but humbled. I understood, long story short, God got the glory. And at the end of the day, she for once released that pain that she had when she was a little girl. God got the glory when it was all over and said and done. She helped me in more ways than one than I could count on that phone. Let me tell you. She helped me with my current issues and some problems I have with my older daughter that was abused. We laughed at the end of the conversation. So I said all that to say this. Many of you watching may identify with this series of testimony in some way. Many, like her in the beginning, may dislike me or hate me for that moment. I would hope you would hate me for good. I would hope you would hate me for the moment. Being honest, it can stop you from going to heaven if you hold on to that. But in reality, it's not easy talking about this. It's not easy revisiting it. I mean, it's like a old wound with the Band-Aid being taken off. If that would describe it. With that said, it's all good. It's all good. Honestly, I'm okay with that. My story is not easy by no means. I do it by the Spirit. By no means it is easy. And His grace, as He leads me and guides me through this, it's not easy to know that every day somebody can click on this video and hear this story of my life and is able to make judgments and throw fiery darts. The beauty of this is, to any of you listening, you could hate me, you could say whatever. The beauty of this is, it's in the past. It was that part of my life that I wish I could just go back and redo. But we don't get that, do we? And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Come on now, tell the truth and shame the devil. I'm sure I'm not the only one who have a part in their life that they want to go back and change. Or wish they could have did things differently. But that's not how it is. So if all this can help others, or one person even, then so be it. I will make that sacrifice. Yeah. I'm ready for whatever. Now for the miracle. Okay. Or shall I say the answered prayer? First, some months had went by where my ex-husband, which was my boyfriend at the time, his attention had never left me as far as abuse, but it was down to him calling my older daughter names. He wouldn't bother her. Okay. But one day, his daughter was there, and I fell asleep to be awakened by giggling, and then crying, and then back and forth, giggling, laughing, and then crying. So I got up to find he was making his daughter and my daughter fight. When I stepped in the room, he made them stop. The next day was Easter. He and I had words over him making them fight. I started having this anger build up inside of me, as if I could have hurt him. I really wanted to, but I just didn't have whatever it is to make it go through. I didn't have it, but I started noticing this anger build up inside of me. As if I can hit him back, but I didn't. I knew I was tired. We went to his uncle's church that Easter Sunday. The stepdad of his came to me. This stepdad now was his mom's boyfriend. Okay? Just make sure you follow me. He came to see me and asked if everything was okay at my apartment. He asked if Robert was still doing anything, abusing my daughter and I told him I wanted it to stop, mentally and physically. Abusing her and even making the girls fight. He told me to talk to the uncle, to the uncle, which was the pastor, Robert's uncle, of the church. And so I did. I went in his office and poured my heart out, crying, sobbing, the whole 9 yards. He prayed, he talked, and he counseled, and he prayed with me that the violence would stop. I left that church that day with high hopes and a sense of peace and calm. For several months it was better. No violence to my daughter anymore from that day forward. Yeah. The next year I became pregnant on birth control pills. I had went to the dentist that prior month for tooth problems. I was given antibiotics. No change in the woman's monthly cycle. For 2 months, I took the birth control pills. No female difference. But the 3rd month, I felt weird. No monthly sign. The 3rd month, while being on birth control pills for over 2 months. So, surely I'm not pregnant. Oh yeah. I was pregnant. So I had to tell him. You can pretty much guess how a person like him would act if I told him that I was indeed pregnant. He was upset as if I got pregnant by myself and told me that I did it on purpose and I tried to trap him. Now, ladies, I know this is not the first time you've heard this. I know that you have been pregnant by somebody that has told you you tried to trap him as if you did it by yourself. Yeah. He said, get out of his face. He didn't want to see me. Oh yeah, get out of his face. He didn't want to see me. And guess what? That went on for a week or a little over a week. Never said one word to me. Well, it was peaceful. But by the weekend, he came to me, put both of my arms and me against the wall like this. And he said, I know you thought I forgot, but I didn't. This is what's going to happen. You're going to get an abortion, and if you don't, I'm going to beat the baby out of you. That's what he said. And if you don't have that abortion, you're going to wish you had. Yeah. That's what he told me. I was going to wish I had. Then he said, squeezing my chin. Now, ain't you gonna do it? I wanted it. And I shook my head like, no. He said, you little blank. Pushed my head against the wall and said, if I didn't, he meant it. He was going to beat it out of me. That Sunday, I was getting a cousin of mine to put sew-in weave in my hair. Weave was coming out on the scene. And then she was there all day. So he was gone all day. Because he told me I had to make a decision by the end of that day if I was going to do it or not. And when he came back, basically, if he didn't hear what he wanted to hear, I was going to pay for it. So I confided in that cousin and told her everything because she said I seemed tensed, anxious, and just not myself. I told her everything. So she told me if I didn't want to get an abortion, that I didn't have to. It wasn't anything that he could do about it. He could leave if he wanted to. Better yet, she told me, I could leave with her for a week to sort things through. It was time to make some decisions. Well, I prayed one of those inward prayers. The one you pray when you don't want Satan to hear. And basically that prayer inwardly just screamed, help, Lord. Please help me. Okay? Well, by the time she was done with my hair, too late. He was there. He was back. Didn't have time to get clothes gathered to get out of there. Nothing. And he had told me earlier that day that I had to the end of the day to say what I was going to do, if I was going to get an abortion or not. He asked to talk to me, and he had that look on his face like he wanted my cousin to leave. So he walked off, and she said, you want me to stay here with you? And I said, no, I'll be okay. Well, she left. He called me in the living room. He had his arms folded like this, walking around, pacing the floor. Pacing the floor, walking back and forth. And he asked me if I had made my decision. By this time, I'm a nervous wreck. I was shaking, scared out of my wits, shaking like a leaf on a tree. He had me in fear all day. So much so, I didn't eat all day long. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't think. I couldn't do nothing. He sensed it too. He grabs me and says, come here. Or come here. Sorry, come here. Come here. He says, as much as I don't want to do this, I feel like you trapped me. I'm not going to beat that baby out of you. What? Is things looking up? He said, what? Prayer works, you guys. It works. I'm pregnant. 3 months goes by and he sees my belly and he says, hold up. You should be just 3 months, but you look about 6 months. This better be my blank blank baby. Really? Really? So I'm 3 months. I went to the OBGYN. Everything was fine, progressing along. I switched doctors got into a women's clinic, had an appointment 2 months later in the 4th month. He says, while I'm 4 months, he changed his mind. Oh yeah, he changed his mind. He wants me to get an abortion again. He was calling around to see who could do an abortion at 4 months. He found someone in Dallas. Here we go again. He told me I could keep my appointment with the new doctor to determine exactly how many weeks I was, because it had a lot to do with the money he was going to spend. Well, the 5th month had just entered. I had just entered to the 5th month. He dropped me off and at the doctor's office, and I had to drink a lot of water. Moms, back then, you know, to do an ultrasound, you had to drink all this tons and tons of water to get your bladder full, because supposedly you can see the ultrasound, the baby better. Okay? Yeah. So, my emotions was everywhere. Physically, my bladder was about to explode. I was scared, hurt, angry, an emotional wreck. The ultrasound tech told me to get on the table. She proceeds to do an ultrasound and asked me if I wanted to know the sex of the baby. Well, yeah. All that water? Yeah, I want to know the sex of the baby. I ain't do all this for nothing. So, she says she was going to find the heartbeat. She looked for the genitalia. It was a girl. Okay. I went, really? No boy? Because I'm so big, I just kind of figured I was having a boy. She says, no, you're not having a boy. You're having a little girl. And then she says, wait a minute. I said, wait, what? She said, wait a second. All of a sudden, I don't have to pee no more. I said, what's wrong? She says, oh my God, there's 2 in here. I said, 2 who? She said, babies. You're having twins. Oh my God. You didn't know? She was elated. I was in shock. Twins? This boy don't want 1 baby. Twins? Y'all, I'm going to tell you right now. I can't even describe what I felt at that time. All I can tell you is, it felt like, I don't even know. I was just like in total like blah, like speechless. No words. I had no words. None. I even forgot I had to use the bathroom. It was just that powerful. Oh yeah. Sucker punched me. That news did. So, I said, I'm done. So I found out I have 2 babies. 1, possibly a boy. She said she couldn't quite tell at that time. So they sent me to the lab. 2 other nurses came to me and says, congratulations, aren't you excited? You're having twins. Aren't you excited? I'm looking like this. Well, what's the matter? Aren't you excited? I don't know. I was like, I don't know. Just... So, you know, I'm like blah, in total shock. And they said, you didn't know? My goodness, you're 5 months and you didn't know? No. I did leave another doctor's office because I didn't like what was going on, so I switched doctors, but no, it's my first ultrasound. So they said, well, why you look so sad? In my head, I'm saying, you guys have no idea. I am with the nut of my life that don't want one baby, and y'all telling me I have two. Not one, but two. A 2-for-1 special. I went to see what one was and got a 2-for-1 special. Yeah. So then they said, are you going to tell your significant other? In my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I got to tell him. And I looked at her. I said, no. You're not going to tell him? But when are you going to tell him? I said, when they're born. I mean, hey, he wasn't there at the doctor's appointment anyway. That about bought me some time. But in the meanwhile, he was looking to see who could do an abortion at 5 months. Well, with that said, they said, wow, okay. So I called him to come get me, to come pick me up from the OBGYN's office. And he comes to get me. I mean, when he came to pick me up, you could see it all over my face. I was in twilight shock zone. It was horrible. Horrible for me to process this. This was shocking news. Very shocking. So, much so, I get in the car, sat down, and he says, what's wrong with you? You looking like somebody died, or they told you some bad news or something. And I look at him, and I have the ultrasound paper, and I just hand it to him like this. I'm looking out the window, and I just hand it to him like this. And he gets it, and he says, I don't know what this is. Now, mind you, I'm not even supposed to be telling him. But I'm such in shock, I do this number. That's one and that's one. And I look out the window. And when I look out the window, you guys remember that movie during Christmas called The Christmas Story? When the little boy says, oh, fudge. That was my moment. Right there. I pointed at the ultrasound pictures, give it away when I'm not supposed to tell him. I'm supposed to tell him when I have these babies. When it's time, he can find out when I deliver them. How about that? But no, I'm such in shock. I said, that's one and that's one. And he says, so what? 2 babies? I took a deep breath and I said, yeah, 2 babies. He throws his hands up in the air and he says, I'm jumping off a bridge. At that time, I felt like I could jump off one with him. He didn't want 1 baby, but I had 2. So, Nikki, what was the miracle? He didn't touch my little girl anymore. Okay? But remember when I told you that he didn't want one baby, but he had two. And I told him that one possibly could be a boy and one was a girl. He didn't want one baby, but I had two. I emphasize. So we get back to the apartment. He calls his mom. And he tells her. In the conversation, he's all excited. What? What? Okay, so the first miracle is he don't touch my little girl. The second miracle was he didn't want one baby. Now he has two. And he wanted them. Now y'all know there wasn't nobody but Jesus. And even though I felt like it was over, No. From one baby to two. He was excited. I was sitting there looking at him while he was on the phone with my mouth wide open like, what? He never mentioned nothing else about an abortion. It was like it had been erased out of his mind. Nobody but Jesus. Nobody but Jesus. Okay? So that's part 3. Stay tuned for part 4. I know part 3 was a little slow and forthcoming. But part 4 is going to be coming right up. Although there was light at the end of the tunnel in part 3, the story goes back to getting a little more grim. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, please do. Because 4 is going to knock you to the floor. But somebody going to get delivered. Oh, yeah. Somebody going to get delivered. Somebody's going to get out of this fear and bondage. I can't wait to get to 5 or 6. May just be 5. May even be 6. You don't want to miss any of these series. Oh, yeah. So, with that said, I love you guys. Be blessed. Please look out for part 4. See you tomorrow. Thanks.